The debut title from indie developer Microbird Games is a sweet and serene way to slay in style, mixing in a beautiful art style with some seriously inventive dungeons to tackle. When most people envision temporarily leaving city life behind to go on vacation, they likely picture sitting on a beach, relaxing somewhere with a cocktail or non-alcoholic refreshment in hand. Not Luisa though, because much like all of Hinterberg's other dedicated slayers, there's much more fun to be had defeating demons, solving puzzles, and mastering the magical powers that have infused this colourful take on the Austrian Alps, so much so that it now plays host to myriad visiting adventurers from far and wide. Said premise makes for an incredibly wholesome yet in-depth mixture of social sim and action RPG antics, one that never once failed to win over my heart with its charm and incredibly creative dungeons. It's hard to talk about Dungeons of Hinterberg without talking about Hinterberg itself, of course, and indeed its many dungeons. Simply put, this fictional take on one of developer Microbird Games' most beautiful and picturesque home attractions is a delight to breathe in, not least because of the bright and colourful cel-shaded art style that does a wonderful job communicating the location's inherent otherworldliness. Opting for an unrealistic aesthetic makes sense for such a small studio, but it really does work to make Dungeons of Hinterberg visually stand out while simultaneously rendering each of its four main biomes noticeably distinct. Of the four, my favourite location to visit is absolutely the snowy mountaintops of Kolmstein, largely because the hoverboard skill Luisa is able to equip there makes getting around a rewarding breeze. All four biomes have skills just like this specialised to them that not only aid traversal in ways that link smartly to general exploration, but during the overworld and in-dungeon puzzles too. For example, casting up a whirlwind to carry Luisa up onto a high ledge in one of Hinterwald's dungeons feels wildly different than, say, summoning a giant jelly block in Brunelsumpf to cross a ravine. Making two skills always specific to each dungeon is a great way to help keep puzzles fresh, making it easy for Dungeons of Hinterberg to keep on surprising me in the ways I had to put them to good use. Speaking of which, the dungeons themselves are treated like a true tourist attraction. Go figure. And while all play out mostly linearly once you're in them and are level gated so you never take on one too tough before you're ready, although you often can, the sheer variety to be found in all 25 is insanely impressive. All differ wildly in terms of length, layout, visual style, and of course puzzles, and not once did any of them outstay their welcome. One dungeon had the camera pull out to an isometric perspective to challenge my traversal skills from afar, while an early one set in a mine had me switching between different track routes to try and find the exit on a cart. All were simply a joy to puzzle through. Equally as intricate as dungeons in design is Luisa, capable of being upgraded via stat-altering charms, higher powered gear as the adventure rolls on, and what are called attack conduits, super abilities essentially that operate on a cooldown. So many mechanics and action RPG systems being layered in might make you think that the combat is relatively in-depth. That said, battling each region's different variants of demon rarely boils down to more than simply unleashing a series of light and heavy attacks with the odd dodge roll thrown in for good measure. Fights in Dungeons of Hinterberg don't play out poorly per se, they're just a lot more straightforward compared to the sheer creativity found in puzzles and world design. Overall, I would say that combat is serviceable, doing a decent enough job at breaking up puzzle solving and exploration, even if it doesn't outright amaze. Then there's the odd decision not to have the gear Luisa regularly swaps out and equips visually reflected on her actual avatar, because while her blue waterproof coat and giant blade are region appropriate, it would have been nice to have every new piece of armor, sword, and set of leggings attached to result in a degree of customization aesthetically on screen. Such customization would help each person's playthrough feel that touch more personal. As it stands, finding a new piece of gear in a chest merely results in a buff to Luisa's stats, which when combined with one another work to upgrade her overall level. It works perfectly fine, but I could never shake the missed opportunity of being able to personalize Luisa with different types of outfit. Unfortunately, the other half of Dungeons of Hinterberg's wider whole is a relatively engaging take on all things social simulation. Though not on the same level of an Animal Crossing or Persona game, each day being broken up into morning, noon, afternoon and night means you get a degree of choice about who to spend time with in between dungeon crawling. It helps that the cast here is wonderfully eclectic, a fact that makes getting invested in relationships second nature, be it through sharing a drink at the local bar with reporter Travis, unlocking new sword enhancements with Hannah the weaponsmith, or learning about recent events in Hinterberg with magic researcher Albert. However, even if you're not particularly fussed about fostering friendships for friendship's sake, certain upgrades and rewards being tied to these conversation paths ensures that speaking to your fellow Slayers is always worthwhile for reasons other than just their personality. Dungeons of Hinterberg could have easily buckled under the weight of its many systems, locations, and most important of all, dungeons. Perhaps against all odds then, the team at Microbird Games has done a wonderful job keeping its debut game's various plates spinning with exceptional flair, creating a truly memorable world in the Austrian-inspired Hinterberg that is fun to explore, thrilling to be in, and packed with some of the most inventive, yet never stressful dungeons I've played in a third-person Zelda-like such as this. True, while combat isn't especially spectacular and it would have been nice to see Luisa's customized gear better represented on her person, Dungeons of Hinterberg is still absolutely one of my personal indie game highlights of 2024. It's definitely a cozy slaycation worth taking. We at Mirror Gaming give Dungeons of Hinterberg a 4 out of 5. So there you have it guys, in terms of our full review thoughts of Dungeons of Hinterberg, available now on Xbox Game Pass as well as PC. Do you plan on picking it up? Be sure to let me know in the comment section below. And then, when you've done that, be sure to leave this video a like and consider subscribing to the Mirror Gaming YouTube channel to stay up to date with even more videos like this. Until next time, thank you so much for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one.